welcome everyone. So my name is Mehdi Ben Moussa. I'm the Data and AI Solution Specialist for Microsoft. And I'm very happy to be here today in Oman. I'm actually based in Qatar, but I always love to travel to Oman because of the country and because of these people. So very, very happy to be here. So the subject of today, I hope, will be very interesting for you, because if not, you'll not be on the right train. The AI is being in the picture for a while now, and it's something that everybody's talking about. But the new generation of AI is going to revolutionize the world. I like to say that the AI of today with generative AI is like the internet boom in the 90s. So you remember when we used to have an internet that used to run on 56K, and it used to make a lot of noise and so on? That's where we are today in AI. Look at the internet today. We don't have any limit, and the AI is going to be the same. And we focus a bit more on the government itself. Government needs also to adopt and adapt artificial intelligence. And I'm going to insist a lot on these two words, adopt and adapt. If you consider the boom of ChatGPT today, of what we call generative AI in general, this is something that the next, actually this generation and the next one, will be living with every day. I was listening to a podcast about that last time, and the usage of ChatGPT in universities, for example. And most of the people, they want to ban ChatGPT because kids are using it to write essays, to write their homework. Why? Right? Look at it. In the 1950s, when the calculator got introduced, people were saying, no, we should ban it. Nobody can use it. Nobody will have a calculator in his pocket. Guess what? We all have one. We all use it. And it only worked because we adopted it. And this is the same thing with the generative AI. This is something that we'll need to adapt and adopt. And let me give you some ideas about it. So it's already there, right? So we already, in our day-to-day, in our government services, we were just listening about Ali, for example, which is actually an artificial intelligence. So this is already available today, and it's already being heavily used, and it's going to be even more in the future. But let me go back a bit in the history, and I'll just be very non-technical, but I just want to give you an idea of the beginning of artificial intelligence. So basically, artificial intelligence is not something new. It actually exists for more than 200 years now. People used to do models, algorithms, use functions to get outcome from a mathematical calculation. And in 1956, the first AI powered by the power of a computer appeared. And this is where the humans were relying more on devices in order to take some decision. In 1997, the concept of machine learning exploded. And machine learning is like us. When we go to school or when we go to a training, we learn. We get information, we use that information for our own decision making. And it's the same principle that the computer is doing now. The more data we provide, the better outcome we get. Then in 2017, deep learning has actually provided more and more capabilities in that decision making. And it was able to mimic the way the human brain functions with all of the different neural networks that we have. We have different parts of our brain that are containing a lot of information, but all of this information are actually put together in order to provide our own behavior, our own thinking, and everything. So deep learning has applied that concept to the artificial intelligence. But until that date, artificial intelligence was only able to provide you something that was existing, which means that I'm providing information to it, and it's copy-pasting this information back to you, of course with some intelligence and some search, but that existing information. Today, with generative AI, this whole concept changed. And not only you'll be able to find information, but also to generate a complete human behavior interaction that you would have with a person when you talk with it, you'll have it with the generative artificial intelligence. And this is not only used for text. It can be used for speech, images, videos, music, anything. Anything can now be generated by artificial intelligence. Small anecdote on this one. Again, on one of the podcasts that I was listening, they were saying that companies like Netflix, Amazon, if they don't adopt today and adapt to generative AI, they will lose. Because the next generation of generative AI will be generating movies, TV shows from scratch. No need for actors, no need for scenarists. You tell us what you want to watch, and we'll generate that for you. So this is the whole idea, or like imagination that you can have with artificial intelligence. But now, let's think about some concepts that can be applied to a government. Many government entities has already adopted artificial intelligence in different scenarios. We heard about the insurance just before. There's taxation in Brazil that is using that to increase the revenue in order to capture the information and put together an efficient type of auditing when they audit their tax payers. In New York as well, chatbot was used to increase the environmental of the city by providing answers to very specific type of questions, and the list go on. There's so many different use cases that can be applied, and I will be more than happy to discuss it and see how can this apply to your own entity. And something that we always hear is, will AI replace us, right? Will AI replace people? And just one thing for you to be comfortable with, we're not there yet. This is not the case. We'll still need people. People is still gonna be the key element of any organization. And these people will be more efficient, more productive, will have new skills to acquire in order to leverage these technologies. So new jobs will be there, new citizen experience as well. The way we interact with our citizen, or us with our government, also need to change and adapt and adopt this new technology. Democratization and access. Again, AI was always seen as something very niche, very specific. That's not the case today. Everybody today has access to ChatGPT, for example, to start using this artificial intelligence. So we want to democratize that to the country, to the citizens. Last but not least, and this is also something very important and at the heart of Microsoft mindset, is we need to make sure that whatever the AI is providing is responsible, ethical, and non-biased. So this transparency that we provide, the ethics and basics that the solution needs to provide, needs to be subject to a full policy and, I want to say, regulations around how the AI needs to be responding to the people. I think the click, I'm too far. And some of the trends, this is again just not a holistic list, but some of the trends that we've been seeing around the usage of AI in government will be mainly around how to engage with people, either the internal people, the external one. How can we enhance that experience to make it more efficient and more productive, but also to be able to provide the right information to the right people at the right time. This is also very, very important. You don't want to have something where you will be taking decision based on yesterday information. You want to be real time. You want to be able to act and decide in real time. And Microsoft, as a company, has done a huge investment on OpenAI. So OpenAI is basically the company behind ChatGPT. And Microsoft not only has given them money for them to build their solution, we provided them a platform and an environment for them to be able to create that. So ChatGPT that today everybody is using is actually built on Microsoft machine learning. So all of this is part of the investment that Microsoft has done. And everything is possible today thanks to that investment. But when you think about ChatGPT, it's just one of the products that OpenAI is providing. There's actually 4 components behind it. You have, of course, ChatGPT. You have the GPT, which is the actual engine behind it that understands and generates text. We also introduced Codex, that is more related to development. So it generates code based on natural language, again. So we ask for something, and it generates the code for us. DALL-E, I'm pretty sure that most of you have seen results out of DALL-E. This is mainly used today in social media to create artificial intelligence-based images, but it's basically generating images from, again, natural language process. And just imagine the possibilities of that, right? So imagine that tomorrow you're going to have a marketing campaign where you want to talk about a specific thing, and you don't have any visual for that. Just ask DALL-E. DALL-E will generate that for you. It will create exactly the image that you want. I was playing with it last time, and I want to see Omani using his phone on the Corniche while walking with his family. It generates that image. And the people that I've seen there are not in this room and are not in Oman. They are not real people, but it looked like real people. So that's kind of thing that DALL-E can do. And of course, ChatGPT, I think there's no need to introduce it, but it's basically this conversational artificial intelligence that will be discussing with us like we do in the human behavior. And one of the key strengths of ChatGPT, despite the fact that it generates content, but it also keeps the context. So any of your digital assistant on your phones today, if you ask a question, it will answer you based on something that it finds on the web. But if you ask a follow-up question on the same topic, it will not understand it because it doesn't keep the context of the conversation. This is where ChatGPT also have a big advantage. And I want to say even more than a human being, because today I'm presenting to you, I'm talking. If I come back in 1 month, maybe I would have forgotten what I was discussing. In ChatGPT, it doesn't forget. It keeps that context whenever you're using it. What's the difference between OpenAI, ChatGPT that you're using today, and me being here today talking about it from a Microsoft perspective? As I said, Microsoft has invested a lot in OpenAI, but not only that, we have brought OpenAI on Microsoft platform, which makes it now an enterprise OpenAI ready for you to use on your own data within your secure environment, and being able to push all your information, data, and usage into it and make sure that nobody else will be using it. I was presenting that a couple of weeks ago, where the project is actually ongoing right now, to one of the banks in Qatar. And the CIO asked me, he said, Mehdi, I don't want somebody to go onto my website asking my chatbot what is the best bank in Qatar, and then it gives me another bank. Right? So that will be the worst. For anybody to go and ask about something and it gives you an information about somebody else. This is where bringing this into your environment within your control will make the difference. So whatever you're using today, ChatGPT, is good, but it's open source, which means that any data you put there, it will learn from it, and everybody can use that learning. While when you bring it to Microsoft, you get all of the privacy and security and the responsible AI concept that we were discussing within your own environment. Again, capabilities are limitless. For me, the limit of ChatGPT is just your imagination. Whatever you imagine, there's a way of applying that using this generative artificial intelligence. From translation to summarization, Basically, anything you want to achieve within your organization and your data can be done with generative AI. And actually, from a Microsoft perspective, we already embedded this concept in most of our portfolio. So we already announced the capability of doing conversational chat within our Bing search that completely changed the experience of doing web search in the past. We have it also now in all of 365 offering, from Outlook to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, and of course also across our Dynamics portfolio. Let me just quickly run a video on the 365 Copilot. Honestly, I think I've seen this video hundreds of times, but every time it amazes me. How many people in the room are doing reporting, dashboard, analysis, maybe using Excel, some documents, anything, any type of application, right? How long does it take you to do that? An hour, half a day, 2 days, a week? Imagine that you can do that by just telling the solution what you want, and that report is generated for you. Guess what? We're doing that now in Microsoft. Let me show you an example here. I want to build an HR report based on my hiring for the last 12 months. And I'm going to type everything I need, which are the type of slicer that I want to apply, I want the type of filter, and I want anything else that you believe will be interesting for me. Now you'll have the Power BI assistant that generates that report for you. That changed completely the game of reporting and dashboarding. Even though I have still the capabilities of changing and editing everything myself, I now have an assistant that tells me that some KPIs might be more interesting for you. I want to change the type of chart. I don't want column chart, I want line chart. Again, just by asking it, it does it for me. I'll go even further. I already built a dashboard with a specific theme, and I know I want to use the same thing. I'll just tell him, just refer to that theme and change it for me. Everything is done through natural language. Can you analyze the data from it? Yes, you can, because you're a subject matter expert and you can do that. But can the tool help me get more insight from those data? The answer, again, is yes. I can ask, again, my Power BI assistant to provide me insights on the data that I have in my dashboard. And all of this is generated by the artificial intelligence. This is not something that was pre-typed. It was identified as one of the insights from the data that I have provided to it. That took less than a minute, and I achieved exactly what I was looking for. So this is the power of generative AI, and it can be, again, applied to anything. And I think now, so I was just summarizing some of the use cases that can be done for the government entities and beyond around content generation. How can we draft content from documentations and so on? How can we summarize information? Just imagine a call center that has logs, records of calls, emails, and so on, and you want to have one summary of all the interaction that you have with your customers. Code generation, we mentioned it. Semantic search, I'll push you to check what Bing is doing today with this chat search, and you will see how this experience is completely changing. Again, this is something that you can start today. Benefits are multiple, I think. I'm going to be a bit faster because of the time, but there's a lot of them, right? So there's a lot of things that can be done today with it. And if you want to start, this is something very easy. You can approach us. We have a booth in the event. So you just tell us what you want to achieve. We'll put you in touch with the right colleagues. And thank you very much for your time, and appreciate your time. Thank you.